What happens when America's country music darling ends up in the middle of a live TV clash that nobody saw coming? Buckle up, because the showdown between Carrie Underwood and the hosts of Today with Jenna and Friends turned into something that left the entire studio and viewers at home stunned into silence. Before we get into the details of this fiery moment, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments what you think. Because trust me, this is one story that will have people split right down the middle. It began like any other casual morning show appearance. Carrie Underwood stepped onto the brightly lit set, glowing as always. Her long blonde hair was perfectly styled, her navy blazer crisp and professional but still warm and welcoming. She had that polished, camera-ready look that her fans know so well. The studio had its usual buzz, lights blazing, cameras tracking her every step, producers whispering instructions through headsets. Jenna Bush Hager welcomed her with a wide smile, gesturing toward the plush cream-colored couch that had become a familiar spot for so many celebrities over the years. The other co-hosts settled into their seats, mugs in hand, expecting the standard upbeat chat, updates about Carrie's music, her family life, maybe a few funny road stories. "Carrie, it's wonderful having you here again," Jenna said in her bright morning show voice. "You look stunning, and we're so thrilled to hear about everything happening in your world." Carrie smiled as she sat down, crossing her legs gracefully. Her smile was warm, but sharp eyes might have noticed a touch of tension in her posture. "Thank you, Jenna," she said. "It's always nice to be here." The interview started smoothly, exactly as everyone expected. Carrie talked about her latest tour stops, shared moments from behind the scenes, and opened up about juggling her music career with raising her kids. Her answers were calm, thoughtful, and polished. Everything you'd expect from someone who's been doing media for nearly 20 years. Everything seemed perfectly ordinary, until one co-host tossed in a question that changed the entire tone. "So, Carrie," the co-host began casually, "there's been a lot of debate lately about whether entertainers should use their platforms to speak up on social and political issues. What do you think about that?" The question landed like a weight in the room. For a second, you could almost hear the silence. Carrie's smile faltered just briefly before she straightened in her seat. "That's a pretty big question," she said evenly. "I think every individual, whether they're in music or not, has the right to their own opinions and the right to express them." Jenna quickly chimed in, clearly sensing the shift in mood. "And you've always been so careful and thoughtful with how you address those things, Carrie." But another co-host pushed further, not picking up on Jenna's attempt to lighten the mood. "Sure, but don't you think that with your level of influence comes a special responsibility? I mean, millions of people pay attention to what you say." Carrie leaned forward, her expression sharpening. "So what you're implying," she said firmly, "is that I should censor myself because of how others might react. That sounds like a very slippery slope." The energy in the studio grew tense. Behind the cameras, producers shifted nervously in their chairs. This wasn't the comfortable morning banter they had planned. The co-host backtracked. "I don't mean censor exactly. I just wonder about balancing personal freedom with public responsibility." "Public responsibility," Carrie repeated, her voice edged with frustration. "So now the suggestion is that I'm supposed to mold my opinions to whatever happens to be popular in the moment? That's what it sounds like to me." The interview was unraveling. Jenna jumped in again, trying desperately to calm the situation. "Carrie, we all appreciate how genuine you are with your fans. Nobody here is saying you should be silenced." But Carrie wasn't buying it. Her eyes hardened as she turned toward the co-host who had started the line of questioning. "Let's not pretend. I wasn't invited here just to talk about my music. You wanted to corner me into taking a side on something political so you could either celebrate me or tear me apart depending on my answer." The hosts froze. The crew behind the cameras looked uneasy. This was turning into one of those unforgettable live TV moments. "That's not true," the co-host protested. "We're just having a discussion." "A discussion?" Carrie shot back, her voice rising slightly but steady. "Where I come from, setting someone up with a question designed to trap them isn't called a discussion. It's called something else entirely." Another host tried to step in, but it only made things worse. "Carrie, you might be taking this a little too seriously. These are fair questions that people really do ask about celebrities. The word seriously was like striking a match. Carrie's southern accent grew more noticeable as her emotions flared. So now I'm being told I'm overreacting? That I can't handle a simple question? Is that really where you want to go with this? Jenna, looking flustered, raised her hands to calm everyone down. Let's all take a breath. This was supposed to be a fun, light interview. Carrie turned sharply toward her. Fun and light? Jenna, with all due respect, there's nothing fun about being ambushed. You invited me here under false pretenses, and now you're trying to spin it like I'm the one at fault. That's gaslighting. The word hit like thunder. Everyone in the studio felt the weight of it. One co-host muttered weakly, "Nobody's gaslighting you," but the lack of conviction was obvious. Carrie suddenly stood, catching the crew off guard as cameras scrambled to follow her. Standing tall beside the couch, she looked down at the seated hosts, her expression a mix of hurt, anger, and disappointment. "You know what's really sad?" she said, her voice quieter now but sharper than ever. "I've been doing shows like this for nearly 20 years. I've always been respectful, professional, and tried to give people a good interview while staying true to myself. And this is what I get in return." The studio went dead silent. Even the usual hum of background noise seemed to stop. "Carrie, please," Jenna tried again. "Let's reset. I think this is just a misunderstanding." Carrie shook her head slowly. "A misunderstanding? No. I think I finally understand perfectly." She started walking toward the edge of the set. The cameras followed her automatically, unsure whether to cut away. "I came here as a guest, someone who's always respected this show and this network. I thought I was here for a real conversation with people I could trust. Instead, it feels like a setup for drama." The hosts sat frozen, their faces pale. Carrie turned back one last time, her voice steady but full of emotion. "You want to talk about responsibility? I believe we all have a responsibility to treat people with honesty and respect, to be clear about our intentions, and to admit when we've crossed the line." "Carrie, that was never our intention," Jenna said quickly. "Intention," Carrie repeated, letting the word hang in the air. "We all know what the road paved with good intentions leads to. We learned that a long time ago." Another co-host tried again, desperate to salvage things. "If we came across wrong, we apologize. Can we please start fresh?" Carrie studied them for a long moment. "Here's the difference between a mistake and a pattern. A mistake happens once and you grow from it. A pattern is something you keep repeating, even when you know better. And I've been in this seat enough times to know the difference. This isn't just a mistake, it feels like a pattern, and I'm not playing into it anymore." Her words cut deep. This was about more than just one tense interview. It was about how she felt treated by the media over time. Jenna's voice cracked slightly as she made one last plea. "Please don't let this end things between you and us. We can make it right." Carrie gave a small, sad smile. "Some things aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be lessons. This whole setup, cameras, lights, the big stage, it should be about connection and joy, about sharing stories. Somewhere along the way, it turned into cheap drama and ambushes." Nobody dared reply. "I've spent my whole career trying to be someone people could look up to," Carrie continued. "I've tried to use my voice responsibly and honestly. If that's still not enough for you, then maybe I don't belong here anymore." Her heels echoed on the studio floor as she walked off set. The cameras followed her until she reached the edge, and then she turned back one final time. "I hope people watching remember this. It's okay to stand your ground. It's okay to say no when someone tries to box you in. And it's okay to walk away when staying would mean losing who you are." And with that, Carrie Underwood left the set of Today with Jenna and Friends, leaving behind stunned hosts, a rattled crew, and millions of viewers who had just witnessed a moment unlike anything usually seen on morning TV. The cameras lingered on the empty couch, but Carrie didn't return. There you have it, an unforgettable confrontation that will be talked about for years. Was Carrie right to walk away, or did things get blown out of proportion? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. And here's a question for you. If you were in Carrie's shoes, how would you have handled it?